Testing, testing, one, two, three. Hello, this is Liz, and that was Hilo. Apparently, he doesn't want to be a part of today's video. I guess dogs are the only cooperative animal. This is Liz with some movie picks for Monday. Monday is essentially we personally watched this weekend at Casa Liz. Some of these are streaming. Some of these, I don't know if you have your way to a Redbox or piracy. You might want to go that route. I always say everything's free on the internet if you look hard enough. The first one that we watched was one that this is something I'll recommend if you have the technology. Skyped with a friend and we started the movie at the same time, so we essentially watched each other watch the same movie. So this was a movie I had seen before. It's one of my favorites. It is the 1978 version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, as I've spoken before. She had never really not heard of it and hadn't seen it and was very angry at me for not warning her about the dog part. And what is the dog part, you ask? Well, this movie is on Prime until tomorrow at midnight, so you can find out if you'd like, or, again, internet does exist, but if you want some great sci-fi, Invasion of the Body Snatchers 78 is a fantastic entry. Another one that was watched when it snowed was a favorite of mine, John Carpenter's The Thing, which might be the greatest remake ever made. I've talked about this at length with a lot of people. I actually donated my old DVD copy to the library. It's a great shape-shifting type of alien movie. You don't know who to trust. It's a lot of fun. I will say if you're squeamish, it might not be for you. There's some great effects from Rob Bottin, but I recognize that is not for everybody. I mean, if you don't like gory special effects, you can always marvel at Kurt Russell's just flawless hair. I mean, I'm jealous of that. So what else did we watch? To prove that I don't just watch horror, I watched something to cheer me up this weekend. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. If you have Hulu, all 14 seasons are included with Hulu. I don't want to call the show underrated. I think it gets plenty of praise. It is just an incredibly funny show. It's so wrong, it's right. It always puts me in the best mood. And I think these 5 actors are some of the best comedic performers working today. I will still laugh at their line reads, even if I've seen an episode 5 times. And a new favorite of mine, I guess I would say, anything that came out in the past 10 years, I consider a new favorite. David Fincher's underrated, I consider this one underrated, Gone Girl. So I am not one to read a lot of bestsellers. I tend to be a little wary of something everybody likes. That's probably my contrarian nature. But I loved Gillian Flynn's book. I think there was a lot of nuance to it. I think what she took what could have been a very one-dimensional story and really punched it up, and I really liked the film adaptation. It's the best Ben Affleck's ever been. Rosamund Pike is perfect casting. I remember hearing initially they wanted Reese Witherspoon, and all due respect to Elle Woods, I do not think she could have done what Rosamund Pike did. I think they found the diamond in the rough for this role. I really hope that David Fincher and Gillian Flynn collaborate again because I think that their styles mesh very well. And this is probably the most twisted date night movie you'll ever see. Up next, an old favorite of mine that's kind of gotten some reconsideration. It wasn't really well received when it came out. Mars Attacks! I should say older Tim Burton. Not a fan of a lot of his newer works, although I will say of his recent works, Big Eyes is a great watch. Mars Attacks unfortunately came out in the shadow of Independence Day. They were the same year, 1996, and I think everyone rightfully loved Independence Day so much they kind of didn't really, I don't want to say but they just weren't interested in what Tim Burton was doing, which was a lampoon of a 1950s alien invasion movie. And there are some actors, I would say, Jack Nicholson and Pierce Brosnan in particular, who absolutely know what kind of movie they're in, and it's so fun to watch them. Unfortunately, this is probably the most recent DVD version there is. I'd love for Shout Factory to pick this up. And it's not streaming included with the service. You could rent it if you wanted to. But if you haven't watched this in a while or ever, I would watch it. It's a good, fun movie. And the effects are still I think, hold up pretty well. Martian Woman especially. And oh, cameo appearance by Tom Jones. So enjoy. Last two. Speaking of Shout Factory, if I can go off on a quick tangent, I know everyone's like, well, everything is streaming now. I personally am someone who likes to own some form of media, especially with my favorite films. And I think my partner thinks that within the next 10 years, physical media is probably going to be a collector's market. So there are companies like the Criterion Collection, Shout Factory, Arrow Films, where they do try to give you not only the movie, but a lot of really good extra special features if you're into that. So I know not everyone's looking to spend right now, but if you're a physical media person and you want to throw your money towards some people doing good work, Shout Factory, Criterion, look them up. So anyway, this is the Shout Factory's edition of Creepshow, the great George Romero and Stephen King crossover. I recommend this to a lot of people who are looking for something spooky but not overly scary. I think it's a really good balance of humor and horror. Also, fun fact, I'm pretty sure this is the first filmed appearance of Ted Danson. And final movie, probably a little depressing, but I'm actually very glad I rewatched it. Sofia Coppola's debut feature, The Virgin Suicides. And when this movie, I mean, I was only 13 when it came out, so I was definitely when my parents like, not sure I want you watching that, but I do kind of remember some of the chatter being, other than being an acclaimed book, Sofia Coppola. Then I learned that she made her debut in Godfather 3, and she learned the hard way that acting's not what she's good at. However, people watched this movie and saw directing she's fantastic at, and she gained a lot more acclaim with Lost in Translation, which is another really good film. I like overall most of her features, but I really like this movie. It's a really good adaptation of the book. It gives the sisters a little bit more definition than the book does. Just very beautifully directed. It's I don't want to say a love letter, but there's something very, kind of blanking on it, but there is something a little bit, there's a magical feeling about the film. It's a magical melancholy. And this is the Criterion edition, so it was a remastered, so that's why I'm happy I rewatched it. So that is what I watched this past week. Tomorrow, join me as I'll take you on another tour down Netflix. And as usual, I hope everyone is staying home, staying safe, and keeping their heads on with this, staying inside. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.